Well, the Ghana Revenue Authority says it will launch a full-scale probe into revelations in the latest Joy News Hotline documentary, Porous Borders, that customs officials take as low as 20 Ghana cedis in bribes to allow traders to transport smuggled goods from neighboring countries into Ghana. The Ghana Union of Traders Association has, in response, called for a total overhaul of the tax system for imported goods to improve compliance. We'll hear from them shortly. First, though, excerpts of the Joy News Hotline documentary titled Porous Borders by investigative journalist Kwete Nate. Right to you.
We have driven through several checkpoints with these goods without tax stamps from Aplau through to Dabala to Segakope without being flagged. Our movement through these checkpoints was smooth until the customs officials in her mid-30s flagged us to stop at the Sugakope checkpoint. The investigative team assumed this customs official who stopped us was to inspect these goods would get us to pay taxes on the assorted drinks. But we were in for a shocker. She demanded the team pay a bribe of 400 cedis. She allowed us to pay 200 cedis after some minutes of negotiations. I have succeeded in meeting one of the smuggling kingpins in Elubo, who identified himself as Error. For every box of rice he brings from Ivory Coast to Ghana, he charges 20 cedis. It is this amount he pays off to customs officials he works with to facilitate his business. If he can transport 500 bags of rice to Elubo, he will earn 10,000 cedis.
Me charge best, and yeah, man, say be about 300, no 320. In the meantime, the dear measure bear 500 bags. It's me drew and my cha. A customs one and see a bear more day. I know there were 20 CDs in man, me met you. There were 20 CDs. No problem.
The investigative team decided to test these claims made by the traders and commercial drivers. We bought several boxes of rice from neighboring La Côte d'Ivoire. At the Elubo border post, this customs official, who was identified as Kujo, allowed our boxes of rice bought from La Côte d'Ivoire into Ghana. We did not pay the statutory taxes. When the team got to the customs checkpoint at Samir, our vehicle was inspected by two customs officials. They asked me to follow them to their office. They demanded I paid a bribe of 20 cedis and left me to go with the boxes of rice.
So I'm going to celebrate small S-man.
What do you have?
Rice.
How much?
3.
You are going to use it.
I'll dash down to my pastor. And then other people.
Typically, you want.
We are in the festive.
The driver knows better.
I think
he picks you. He informs you the nitty-gritty. I'll dash you one and pay for it.
So how much would I pay? 20. Thank you very much.
Here's the book for me.
Hey, thank you very much.
My number is 11.
I thought you were coming to give me a receipt.
Oh. But the receipt when we pay the duty. The duty is $1.70.
Now, reacting to this story, President of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, Guta Joseph Obeng, noted that as much as traders want to comply with the border regulations, the high taxes make it impossible for them to do so. Now, speaking on the Super Morning Show, Mr. Obeng actually described the custom officials who aid them, as in the traders, transport their goods as, quote, angels, and called for a national conversation that would address the exorbitant prices at the custom point where they are expected to be paying. Now, the Ghana Integrity Initiative has also been proposing some way to deal with it. But let's go on Zoom now and speak to Joseph Obeng, who is president of GUTA. Doc, grateful for joining us here. Now, you describe these people as angels who aid you in doing your business. How exactly is that possible?
Yeah, please, when I was speaking, I took my time to speak. It was not that I was talking to expose anybody, to expose the trader, the customer officer, or the agent. I was talking about a system, and then the system that is not workable. And I was talking about taxes, taxes that are extortive, to the extent that is not enabling us to comply. The whole issue that we are talking about is about compliance. And the reason why there's lack of compliance and people to be able to be cutting the edge and do some of these things is because of the simplicity, non-simplicity of the tax and non-affordability of the tax system that we have. And so I'm drawing the attention of authorities that until we address the core issue of affordability of the taxes or the duties that we pay, some of these things are going to happen. Otherwise, we are doing our best, even as taxpayers. The customs are doing their best. Clearing agents are doing their best. If you recall, for the past 5 years, government have been exceeding its revenue targets. Tell me if it is not true. But then if you are able to seal some of the loopholes, the leakages in the system that is resulting from the high tax of duties that make these leakages or these problems arise, then of course we would have even achieved more. And so all that I'm talking about is for us to address or tackle the problem head on and be able to address the high taxes that we are paying. Because I've told you in the morning that tax to GDP in the sub-region, ours is the lowest. Whilst our taxes are higher than the other member states. So why is it so? Why your taxes are higher and more than the neighboring countries? You are also behind the tax to GDP. It means that once your taxes are not affordable, compliance becomes virtually nil.
But Doc, I mean, should the high taxes also then create room for people who know what is right to engage in the wrong things?
That's not what I'm talking about. That's not, because but taxes should not be exorbitantly high. We are talking about tax system that is virtually not helping anybody. It's making businesses completely unbearable. A tax system that will push people to seek to do these things that we are reporting about. So I'm saying that much as we are not condoning what is happening, we are also saying that we have to hold the bull by the horn and then reduce the taxes that is being imposed on businesses. When we're able to do that, and I cited example in the morning where we did the benchmark reduction policy and taxes have gone up. The smuggling that was going through the Eastern Corridor all came down. The cars that people were bringing from the Eastern Corridor, cars that were registered in other countries, numbers and all that vanished because people were able to pay their taxes here, and government again exceeded its revenue. So I'm saying that we have to do the right thing, both the right systems. When we are able to do that, then of course we can enhance on our revenue collection, and most of these corrupt practices will be in the thing of the past. That's exactly what I'm trying to say.
Well, Doug, I agree with you on that point that yes, taxes should be affordable. But for some time now, this is not maybe this year or the past 5 years, it's been there for a long time that on our borders, customs officials do take these bribes. So really, do we just fix the problem with a reduction in taxes, or it's just an inherent thing in the system that has to be dealt with?
It's about system. We have to build a system that will not enable, it will enable anybody to even think of taking bribe or cutting edges. That's all. Because Integrity Internationals and all that corruption fighters, government, they have taken necessary sanctions on customs officials, traders, clearing agents. And have you solved the problem? It's because we haven't built the necessary system that will take care of that problem. And so the problem persists. That's why we have to build the necessary system, make our tax payments simplified, make people even know the tax they are coming to pay even in advance before they bring the goods. That's why people are talking about flat rate tax system, the phased tax system. These new political flag bearers, they are all talking about that because we've told them point blank that we are unable to do business here. We are not competitive and all that. And so if the taxes are simplified, the compliance level goes up. It's as simple as ABC. And so that's exactly what we have to do so that you don't tell somebody to go and pay how much he is not able to pay. You understand?
Okay. Doc, stay with me. The Ghana Integrity Initiative has, however, proposed a solution. Its executive director, Mary Ada, is joining. She believes that a confidential complaint mechanism or compliance mechanism positioned at each border will help address the problem. She joins us via Zoom now. I'm grateful to you, Mary Ada, for joining in. Now, let's really understand. People say that, well, it's because of the system, but let's establish it. Is it really the system, or it's an inherent something with the Ghanaian that needs to be addressed?
Thank you very much, Kojo. Good afternoon to you and also to your listeners. And good afternoon to the doctor from Bhutan. The issue of corruption is systemic. The issue of corruption, to a large extent, is based on the fact that our systems are weak. And also when it comes to the issue of compliance and also the issues around ensuring that people comply, we have very weak systems. And people tending to be people like Dr. Bain would not hesitate at all, or perhaps even myself would not hesitate at all to do the wrong things when I know for sure that the cost of compliance is very low. So what we are saying is that let's make the cost of compliance very high to ensure that anyone who wants to engage in such behaviors knows that upon colluding with any trader who naturally as a human being would want to cut corners, when they do that, the consequences that would attract their non-compliance would be so great that it would affect them, not only them, but also their families and their jobs. When this is known and this is what is the norm, then people will not engage in such behaviors and get away with them. And this morning I was saying on Joy SMS that one of the sure ways the international community has dealt with this is two-way. Number one, our tax system is a regressive one. Okay. So it tends to promote the issues of lack of compliance amongst the stakeholders within the value chain, and Dr. Obin not being an exception in this regard. Again, what we have seen in systems where taxation is very high, and yet the benefits of the tax that accrues to the individual also ensures that people are compliant to the regimes that we have set for ourselves. So number one, we are saying that let's ensure that we are making the system conducive, open, and sure for all of us to comply. Okay. Let us, number two, ensure that we are making the process of lack of compliance zero, a zero tolerance for accepting and giving of bribes. And I believe the GRA has a compliance unit that must ensure that this is done. And this morning I shared that we at the Ghana Integrity Initiative have been ready and available to assist the Customs Division to roll out our corruption complaint mechanisms, which we call the Advocacy and Legal Advice Center. This is a center that provides free, confidential, and legal mechanisms to victims and witnesses of corruption and wrongdoing to ensure that they make their complaints. We will take this for them and then ensure that their ethics and complaints or their ethics and compliance unit within the GRA, which seeks to work with all of them, works. Apart from that, let us see that the controls within the GRA are working. So when senior or whenever officers are seen to be in contravention with the laws, like we have done with this documentary, which is showing people taking 20 cities, the sanctions should be so punitive that their friends who are at other border posts will not entertain any such. But then to ensure that these systems are fair, let us have people make the complaints freely, because we do not want people to be complacent in this. If you see it happening, make your complaint, we'll pick it up, we grant you legal advice. If there is a need to go on to pursue strategic litigation, we support that cause. But then we believe that the role of civil society in this is very important, and the active role of the citizen who is participating in this process is also very important. We cannot say that in other jurisdictions, if we are looking at the systems, people tend to do what they are doing and then come back to tell you that because the tax system is regressive, that is why we are promoting illegitimate ways of dealing with the issue. Let's tackle the issue from the right source, and let's ensure that we are getting those who are taking 20 cities to let people go, 350 cities to let track loads. Can you imagine the colossal sums of money that is being lost to the state? And mind you, this is a state where we are saying that our revenue mobilization drive is not right. It is low. We can do more. And so let's all, as a collective, begin to think about this. But then let's, whether they be traders, whether they be custom officers, DTRD officers, whoever they are in the value chain, should be sanctioned when they do the wrong things.
Okay, so in this case, the traders who pay the bribes and the security, the custom officials should all be punished, right?
Yes, there are corruption laws state so whoever is found, both the giver and the receiver are equally culpable. And that's why we are promoting that we should have an amendment so that those who are willing to give information freely certainly will be seen as informants, particularly within the regime of the GRA. They have informant schemes where they even give people compensation for leading them to some of these smuggling gangs who are loading clothes, are loading oil, are loading sugar and the rest from other ports to bring into Ghana. Then they make their goods cheaper. And those who are using the systems in Ghana are having to pay a higher price for it. So let us all, and I believe Mr. Obin would be interested in ensuring that because they are doing the right things as traders, they should be more interested in getting these elements dealt with so that competition, which is what would make their businesses thrive, then we'll see competition thrive as well. So everybody is starting from the same baseline and we won't have these complaints.
Okay. But Mr. Obin's point is that because the taxes are high, that's why traders are forced to pay bribes to these officials to get their goods in. And until we reduce the taxes, these can continue.
I agree. I agree to a large extent that our taxes are regressive. I also agree that there is a lot more people in the tax value chain who are not captured in the system. But then my point of departure is that the taxes are high. Yes, let us all work together to have change. But until then, let us not use that as an excuse. Because if we are all importing from the same area, if we are all seen to be importing into this country, either through our ports or through the air, and then we all come together, it will be the same price. There would not be a need for anyone to cheat the system. So that is our point, that people are not enjoying exceptional exemptions, that everybody is working on the same slate. I bring my goods either through Takrady or Pema, or through the ports at Aflao Paga, or Elupo, and any of them. Let's all be doing the right thing, because as citizens, what we seek to have is that there is fairness. If there is no fairness, Mr. Obi, who perhaps may be importing through the port or through the airport, would be shortchanged, because the person who is cheating the system will come and reduce their prices. And I think that is not what Guta would want. We all want to be working on the same space. So until such a time that our advocacy brings results of ensuring that taxation is fair, taxation systems are transparent, and we are paying for, like other countries within our sub-region, we are paying similar rates. Let's all work together to make this system work, and let's not cheat the system and allow a few people to enrich themselves at the expense of the state.
Interesting. Now, the Customs Division has promised of a full-scale investigation. What should be the focus?
I am still wondering what this full-scale investigation is about. Is it for those who were captured on the tape?
Exactly, yes.
Or the
yes.
Customs
The commander
saying that they do not know?
The commander we listened to said they are going to look at the tape and conduct a full-scale investigation into it.
All right. So if that's the case, then admittedly, they know this is a frequent occurrence. For me, who doesn't travel much, I know it happens. And so the Customs Division of the GRA, it's good they are going to look into it. This is captured on tape, so they should look into it. And then also let us know what actions they are taking, because these are some of the things that help in the fight against promoting accountability and transparency. When individuals have made the effort to document wrong, if they investigate, they should allow the results to be shared. Then the good people of Ghana would know that the Customs Division is taking action on some of the rots and in the system, and they are making the effort to remove them. I also believe that for any ordinary person who is a businessman who does business on a daily basis would be doing mystery shopping to determine some of the wrongs that citizens complain about on a frequent basis. So I believe the GRA and the Customs Division, particularly in this regard, should be more interested in what is happening. Their monitoring function should be more pronounced and active, so that some of these things are even caught before we do documentaries on them to determine that this is very true. They should also invest in more internal control, effective mechanisms which can capture these at the borders. Every illicit trade that is happening should be able to be documented without the officials knowing. And in this, they can be doing more proactive work in promoting accountability. However, if they say they would investigate, I think it should be done. It should be done expeditiously. It should be done transparently, and the results of it shared with all of us to then determine if the right things have been done.
Mariada, stay with me. Let me bring in Dr. Joseph Obi again. Doc, so you've listened to Mariada there. She believes that all of us would have to come on board and help sanitize the system until probably we get the taxes reduced. What do you make of that point?
Yeah, she make a lot of very tangible points. What that business seeks is fairness, parity and fairness. So if we are bringing goods and we all know that we are coming to pay this X amount for a particular container, for a particular product, fair enough. Everybody will comply to it, but a system that creates discretion, a system that creates disparities, a system that creates exemption for other people. It creates a system that people will have to go and shop around to get to shop around for better duty payment or tax payment. And that's all that I'm talking about. So we should make sure a system that creates opportunity for people to abuse the system. Just imagine when our goods come at the port, is deemed to be in detention. As long as it will take you to clear your goods, customs and other officialdom in the harbor have all the opportunity to assess your product, and then after you pay your duty. You are not the tax official. And then when your goods come out, then another task force come and say that we do not trust the custom officers within the port. And that we are confiscating your product. This is not a system. This is a bad system. That when you have your goods at the port, they open the cargo, do everything, examine it thoroughly, and then it come out. Then it means that people opportunities being created for people to abuse and create fear for the people. What system is this? When you have all the opportunity, when our goods come to the port, it's under detention. You have the right to do everything. And when they find you, they detain your goods, you are made to pay penalties, and then they leave the custom officers out and all that. They leave everybody out, and then you, the person who is a layman who does not know anything about clearing, you just brought your goods, gave documents, and all that has been made to suffer this penalty. What system is this? The system is what I'm talking about. The system should be such that nobody should have this opportunity, and then create fear. Normally, it's fear that is created. So when the fear is created, that you have to pay maybe 1 million Ghana cedis where you can't get, then you have to compromise. You have to find a way to grab your way through. So that if I talk about system, this is what I mean. And then you make the taxes also affordable, simplified. So everybody would know what you are supposed to do. But a system that creates discretion, a system that creates its own values, imaginary values. The customs and everybody have their own set of imaginary values that they do not abide by the transactional values. So it's confusing, it's cumbersome. And if you use this system as a tax collection mechanism, then you are bound to fail. And this is what I'm talking about. Because if you charge me high duty, and then my colleague said that, oh, my duty was cheaper than you, I will go and search for the agent who or the custom officer who inspected your goods, or the agent who cleared your goods. And this is the system, and I'm telling the truth. It's not that I have to hide anything. You understand? It's not that you are not patriotic citizens, but the system is not working in our favor. Because we talk about punishment. Now you said this thing has come out. Former President Atamels these investigations?
Dr. Amin,
what did it solve? It didn't solve
Dr. Amin, stay with me. Stay with me, Dr. Amin. Stay with me. Let me bring in the ranking member on the Trade and Industry Committee of Parliament, an MP for Bole Bambo, Yusuf Sulemana. I'm grateful to you for joining us. But you've been following what is happening. The traders are calling for a very simplified tax collection system that would aid them in paying the right taxes. Until that is done, these customs officers will abuse the system and take these monies from them. You are an MP, you're on this committee. What will you be doing to ensure that this is solved?
Yeah, so first of all, let me say that tax evasion is a worldwide phenomenon and is more prominent or more pronounced in developing nations. And there's evidence to this. But the issue is that whether or not the tax regime is fair, whether or not the tax regime is a regime that people accept, once the law is in place, you are supposed to go by the law. You may have your complaints, but once the law is passed, you are supposed to go by the law.
Sure.
Now, some issues have been raised, and I do agree. The issue of tax fairness, whether
Honorable, if you can hear me, kindly unmute so we can hear you. I think your hand has touched your mic button. Kindly unmute it so we can listen to the sort of explanation you're giving us here. Now, in the last few hours, the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority has told Parliament's Public Accounts Committee a full-scale probe will be undertaken into the revelations. Commissioner of the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Brigadier Ayorogo, has been responding to questions from MPs at today's Public Accounts Committee hearing. We will be bringing you that one, but we still have the Member of Parliament who is with us. Yes, Honorable, I think your microphone works now. You're making a point about, you agree that the tax system would have to be looked at again.
Hello?
Honorable, I can hear you now.
Yeah, so I was saying that the earlier speakers have made very important points. There's a need for us to ensure that there's fairness in tax administration, whether it is distributive or procedural. Once taxpayers begin to feel that they are being cheated and that some are paying higher than the others, then they will not want to pay taxes. Another important thing that we need to look at is the legitimacy of tax administration. And when I say legitimacy, I'm talking about whether or not the amount of money we pay as taxes are being used to solve our problems. Now there's a theory that says that, look, if I pay taxes, I expect to get some benefits. If I pay taxes and don't get those benefits, there's a likelihood that I will not want to pay taxes. Are we looking at all these issues? But the issue at stake is that our system has come to accept corruption to the level that nobody now cares whether or not the person is taking bribe, whether or not the person is involved in corruption. And it is so because from the president down to the last government employer, we are all vulnerable. We are all now ready to take bribe because when you take bribe, nothing gets done. In this particular case, our expectation is that there will be thorough investigation and that the culprits will be dealt with and dealt with very, very well.
Okay.
Now,
But Honorable, the issue that the traders raise is about, as you've acknowledged there, fairness in taxes and whether or not our taxes will be lower so they can't really afford that. And I'm asking, as a member of that committee, what actions will your committee take to ensure that this is done? Because the traders have given us the roadmap that if our taxes are affordable, they will find it easy to pay.
Yeah, I agree with them. I agree with them to the extent that we have complained several times that the way and manner we impose taxes on our traders is unacceptable.
Okay.
You have a system where at every, if you like, stage of the business cycle, our people are paying taxes. And we think that the payment of taxes will solve our problem. We rather have to reduce the taxes and encourage our businesses to expand. If they expand, they will employ more hands. And once they employ more hands and those people are also paying taxes, they would have been opening up the tax brackets. And that is only when we are going to make money and improve the lives of our people. So overtaxation is not the way to go. And I agree with them that we need a holistic approach in looking at our tax system. And I can tell you, some of us have interest in this area. I am currently doing a research work on taxation and why people do not want to comply. And these are some of the things that we are seeing in the research that we are doing.
And I guess that research would influence the committee's actions to try and get the, taxes in Ghana reduced. But let's bring in the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority now, because they've been telling Parliament's Public Accounts Committee that a full-scale probe will be undertaken into the revelations. Commissioner of the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Brigadier Ayorogo, has been responding to questions from MPs at today's Public Accounts Committee hearing.
As we discuss all of this revenue and taxing more of our people, this week, a media house in Ghana is going to be airing evidence of work that they have done at our borders titled Porous Borders, Joy Multimedia. Commissioner General, your own officers, and I see a man in uniform, an officer I respect, what are you doing to ensure that your own GRA staff, especially those with the Customs Division at the borders, who are engaged in aiding and abetting the evasion of taxes to the Ghanaian taxpayer, how are you as CG and GRA working to ensure that our borders are well protected so that we get the proper duties that for things that are coming into our country? Because you see the evidence when Joy airs his program this week.
I have had a preview to the video in question that is coming up, and my leadership team, specifically the Commissioner Customs, has always also been made aware. But I would like to put it on the table that even before that video, the order or the processes around the borders, which most people refer to as a porous border, is a strategy or an initiative that is a burning one for the Commissioner Customs. And since he arrived with his background and his experience, it's one of the initiatives that he has put in front and prioritized as his priority. Not all some of the things that we hear, Honorable Chair, Honorable Member, about GRA staff, honestly, some of it is exaggerated. Honorable Chair, Honorable Member, a month or so ago, the Honorable Minister led us in a workshop that we called a collaborative workshop. Most of the people at the port and across the borders that you see assessing taxes, or for a lack of better word, probably maybe harassing importers, some of them are not our officers. There are a lot of generalizations, but if I may pause and have Commissioner Customs come in with his strategy.
Honorable Chair, thank you for the question. It's very important for us as a country. So the issue about the video issue, I'll come to that. But first, the porous nature of our borders. I want to answer this. So as a Commissioner of Customs, we have an agenda of applying geospatial intelligence. Indeed, we have been assisted by the Japanese International Cooperation Agency. So what are we going to get out of this system? Now, when you have geospatial intelligence collection method or approach, what it means is that you have some level of border protection. You are able to identify hotspot of smuggling. You are able to have the route of smugglers. It gives you inter-agency cooperation in terms of intelligence. Indeed, this system is coming in place in September, God willing. It is not only for Ghana, Nigeria, Niger, and Togo, and Cote d'Ivoire. The training is going to be given to us, and this training is likely to end 2026, God willing. Now, normally when you have lack of manpower, you have to use this system of geospatial intelligence. And the Japanese government is actually very willing to assist us in this direction. That is one approach, because now we have to apply science. We do not have the personnel. This science will reveal the position of the activities of our own and others, and that is likely to give us a lot of revenue. Another issue has to do with even the marine unit. The waters that we have, all the water bodies that we have, we used to have a marine unit, but the marine unit, with all due respect, is no more. And we are now trying to re-establish. All the water bodies are empty. We have other units like the Navy, but that's not their primary responsibility. The primary responsibility of smuggling or moving on board the waters in terms of revenue is Ghana Revenue Authority. Now, back to the issue of the video. I've seen the video, just a synopsis of the video. I want to see the complete video. Indeed, if based on the face value of what we see, full investigation will be conducted, and I mean full investigation. Interestingly, this is where I spent all my years in, so it's not going to be a doubt. I have some know-how, let me say it for now, that if people are wrong, indeed, they will be dealt with. But I have not seen the video completely. I just saw just a synopsis. And that, normally when you are doing a documentary coverage, and you don't do it very well, the evidence should be clear. You shouldn't have the slightest doubt. But more often than not, you're not able to identify somebody. Is it this person or is it this person? I'm just hoping that the documentary is so clear to everybody. And that, like my Commissioner General said, if indeed it is our personnel, obviously the law will take its route. These are my little contribution to. Thank you, sir.
Well, so that's from the Customs Division of the GRA there. Let me bring in Mary Ada. So you listened to that response from a year ago there. Are you confident, or how confident are you in the work they will do, listening to his response?
So from him, you would realize, and also from the Commissioner General, certainly they are leading a team, and they would have to show that the team they are leading, they have confidence in them. However, they also intimate that they would want a video that shows credible evidence in order for them to then persecute a certain agenda of investigating. And so I have no doubt whatsoever that in this scheme of things, they would be persecuting an agenda that would help all of us to come to a certain conclusion. If I listen to Brigadier General Yorgo, I realize that he says, if there is evidence that shows exactly those who are involved, then it means it would be easy for them. And I see from you viewing the documentary and myself, everybody who was in there, you can be able to identify them. So the issue of identity, it's not a big deal at all or whatsoever. So let's wait on them and see how that goes. From the way they have communicated, I believe they would also want to say that sometimes our evidence is not conclusive enough. However, in this case, we are very sure beyond reasonable doubt that the evidence of the little that was captured, and I believe they know that this is just the tip of the iceberg. And so the way they deal with this would be a direction on an indicator of what civil society and the media can do in the future with them to ensure that we are fighting corruption together.
Okay. All right. And we'll all keep an eye on that one and see how it goes. But in this particular investigation, are there certain parameters that they should follow to ensure that they get to the bottom of the matter?
I've already told you that, or I indicated that earlier, that one of the things we would need to see is constant feedback on the issue.
Okay.
So that is one. But then again, the terms of reference of the committee that would be set up to investigate should be clear for all of us Ghanaians to determine whether this is a fair one, this is not a fair one. That is the basic KPIs based on which we would all then be assessing this. And let's also see a KPI that goes beyond this, to also investigate thoroughly other issues that have come up in the past and possible issues that could come up in the future, so that they will be making cogent recommendations, that would help the institution going forward. If possible, let this be transparent enough. If the committee is sitting, if they won't allow us to see it on open air, they should give us consistent feedback to ensure that we all trust the system that they have put in place.
Okay, Marad, I'm grateful to you for joining. But Dr. Joseph Obeng, so you've had the GRA there, the Customs Division, say that they are going to investigate this. What's your expectation at the end of the day? Dr. Obeng, if you're still with me, I want to find out from you okay, yeah. So you've unmuted now, yeah.
I hope you know that we've made so many investigations in the past and now. I hope you know that.
I am, yeah.
So all that we need is a system that will not allow anybody to cheat. And that's what we have to find out and do it.
Okay.
It's not that we make a system where there's a complete abuse in the free zones, where people that perceive to be operating at free zones are taking undue advantage, bringing goods unaccustomed, and then come and compete with people. There's no fairness. The system that creates discretion for officers.
Okay.
There shouldn't be any certain. A system that creates exemption for other people to take advantage and all that. Then what system is that? So all that we have to do is to create a watertight system that may not decide that we have best practices in other countries, other jurisdictions. Let's go and learn and adopt it here. But if you create a system that will punish me, then of course somebody will find a way to survive through the same system. Okay. And this is what I'm talking about. Okay. We are not condoning any bad practices, never at all. But let me tell you, sometimes we also blow these things out of proportion with all the perceived corruption in customs, in crime agents, and with traders. We have been achieving our revenue target, and exceeding them for the past 5 years. So with all the high taxes that we pay and all that, so some credit should be given to the trader, the clearing agent, and then the custom officer. Okay. We have done our bit. Okay. It's not that always they want to perceive us as bad, not in the society, unpatriotic, and all that. We have been exceeding
your target. Okay. So that's Dr. Joseph.
If it is that bad, can we get our target? Okay. And so I'm saying that let's all sit down and find a way to build the systems and also make taxes simplified, fair, parity, and then affordable.
Dr. I'm grateful to you. I think your point is well made, Doc, and I'm grateful that you could join us here on the Pulse on the Joy News channel. Well, this debate and discussion on this continues, but tonight at 8:30 p.m., please catch the full documentary, The Porous Borders, here on the Joy News channel. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back. When we come back, we'll take you to the court where the CDS has been on a stand, being questioned by Basit Bamba, who is the lawyer for Dr. Kaysal Atuforsen, and also by the Attorney General himself. We'll bring you more of that after the break. To stay. Welcome back from the break. Now let's head to the courts now, where the Chief of Defense Staff testified that the term misconduct does not appear in the official military release letter to Richard Jakpa. Contrarily, the release letter presented and tendered into evidence by the Attorney General cites misconduct as a reason for Jakpa's discharge. During cross-examination by Dr. Basit Bamba, the lawyer for Atuforsen, the CDS confirmed he has never received a court order or any letter requesting the release of Jakpa's sack letter, referring to the widely circulated release letter signed by the Brigadier General MKG Ahiaglo. The CDS maintained that no request for such a document has ever been received. My colleague Latif Idrisu was in court today and joins me live with more. First, Latif, Walk us through what transpired in court.
Okay, so the CDS was subpoenaed by lawyers for the third accused person in this case, that is Richard Japa, because the prosecution had attempted to question the integrity of Richard Japa himself. Yeah. Because Richard Japa had also tried to question the integrity of the Attorney General in the widely circulated audio recording. So today the CDS was in the dock. Then lawyers for Richard Japa, Thaddeus Sori, who is lead counsel for the legal team, who is the one who started the cross-examination. And he sought to suggest to the court that Richard Japa, contrary to the September 12, 2007 letter secured by the Attorney General, which has already been tendered into evidence and relied on by the Attorney General during cross-examination of Richard Japa, that as a matter of fact, Richard Japa was not sacked from the military dishonorably. So those were the line of questioning that the lawyers for Richard Japa sought to put to the Chief of Defense Staff when he was in the dock. Interestingly, the Chief of Defense Staff, in answering those questions, told open court today that in his line of duty as Chief of Defense Staff, he has never received any letter from any quarters whatsoever asking for him to release confidential information about Richard Japa or any military officer for that matter.
Okay.
That is one leg. And this is not in contrast to anything, because when the Attorney General presented his letter, which is secured from the defense minister, he didn't say the CDS was involved in drafting that particular letter. So you cannot make the point that what the CDS said today with regards to him receiving any official request to release letters are in contrast. What is in contrast is the fact that the CDS told the court today that the word misconduct, which the Attorney General or the prosecution relied heavily on in quest to discredit the character of the third accused person, Richard Japa. According to the CDS, that word misconduct doesn't appear in their release letter of Richard Japa.
Okay.
And that one, you would say, is in stark contrast to the letter that was procured and relied on by the prosecution during the cross-examination of Richard Japa.
Then where did the prosecution get that particular letter?
So according to prosecution, they got it from the defense minister.
Oh, okay.
The defense minister, so they wrote and requested for that particular document from the Minister of Defense. That brought up the question, and this was posed to him by the Attorney General, whether or not it is wrong or inappropriate for the Minister of Defense to write and release confidential information about an officer, whether it's right or wrong. The response of the CDS was that though it is not the best practice, quote and unquote, the minister can do that. Why? Because him as CDS, he does not have any authority or power over the Minister of Defense. So yes, the Minister of Defense can receive that request and he can go ahead, issue and write and release that confidential information. He can copy him. He didn't say that out in court, but the best practice, he said that is not the best, but he can do it. So you would infer that the best practice, okay, let me not infer, but that's what he said. Let's report what the CDS said in court. That the minister can do that, can do what? Can release confidential information without copying him as CDS.
But shouldn't the, maybe we're asking you there, because the minister, or was that question answered in court, whether or not the minister should have to write that letter based on the information available on official document that he will use in writing that particular letter?
Certainly. So that question was asked.
Okay.
And the answer was yes. So whatever the minister put in his own documentation and released to the Attorney General was based on what the military settings made available to him about the accused person.
Okay.
So he didn't write his letter out of vacuum. He didn't just sit and then out of imagination he created something, but it was based on what the military provided to him about the third accused, Richard Japa.
Okay.
So it was based on that he came out with his own release information about the third accused person.
Where did the minister then get the word misconduct? Because remember, the CDS challenged that per what he has, he was not released based on misconduct, right?
Yes.
But that letter said he released based on misconduct.
Yes.
So where did the minister get a misconduct from?
So this was in a letter dated 12 September 2007.
Okay.
The last paragraph. Sorry. So I just want to read. It says,
and this is to who?
So this was from MKG Ahiagulu.
Okay.
Brigadier General. Yes, so I think it's an internal memo, if you like. So the last paragraph says that I'm therefore directed to request that Lieutenant R. Jakpa be released from the service for inefficiency under Article 15, Item 2A.
Okay.
Item 2A says, through continued lack of application or interest. And then item 2C. Item 2C says that unsatisfactory conduct of the Armed Forces Regulation Volume 1.
Okay.
So unsatisfactory conduct and then through continued lack of application or interest.
Okay.
So that was the basis on the Attorney General's claim, if I should use that word, that Richard Jakpa was released from the Ghana Armed Forces
for misconduct.
For misconduct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Right. Interesting. What are the other things that happened in court today, based on the questioning and answering that happened?
So largely, it was based on Richard Jakpa's sack and all the issues that came out. Nothing really, as has been the case.
Was there a contrast between the army officer that came the last time and what the CDS came to, the testimony he gave in court today?
Not exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, not exactly.
All right, then. So what is next for this case?
The case will be called again tomorrow. We expect representation from the Ghana Ports and Harbour to show up, and one other. We are not certain about who is showing up in court, but all of them have been subpoenaed, and they are expected to come in, including the Speaker of Parliament, the former Health Minister, Alex Segbefia. They are all in line. But tomorrow, it's expected that one person from the Ghana ports, and then one other person are expected to show up in.
But we're also told of the cross-examination of the CEO for Big C.
Yes.
When is that coming off?
That was supposed to have happened, I think, last 2 weeks, thereabout. But we were told in court that he traveled to Germany and got stranded in Germany, couldn't connect to the internet and all of that, and so that couldn't happen. So that has been pushed further. And so for Big C, their date is not yet certain. We do not know when Big C would appear in court to give testimony in this particular trial.
All right. Well, let's keep an eye on that developing story and see how it travels. That's my colleague there. He was in court today and brought us a wrap of what happened in court. Now, let's take you to Germany now, because a court in Berlin has been making a pronouncement, and that court has ruled that Germany must improve its air quality standards in order to meet European pollution target. The court ruled in favor of a leading environmental group that had sued the German government. This is one of a flurry of recent suits by activists and environmental organizations against the government's climate policies. DW's Guela Saudeli is in Berlin for us. Guela, why have environmental groups been taking the German government to court?
Well, in this particular latest case, the environmentalists claimed that the German government and its clean air quality program weren't going far enough in trying to reach European targets, but also in protecting its own citizens from pollution. And a court agreed with this assessment, even though this ruling can still be appealed. But this is only one of a series of cases that environmental groups are bringing to the courts against the German government, and specifically against its climate policies. The environmentalists believe that the German government isn't doing enough to reduce its emissions. It's not doing it fast enough. And this is why they're now taking to the courts to try to steer the government's course in a different direction. And they've already had quite some success on this front. There have been some successful rulings in favor of the environmentalists. And one famous one was in 2021 against the previous German government led by Chancellor Angela Merkel, where the government was told by the courts that they had to improve their climate policy because by continuing on their course, they were going too slow in reducing their emissions. They were actually being unconstitutional. They were injuring the right of young people and future German citizens to have a clean and safe environment to live in, which climate change would threaten.
Well, it leads one to question how Germany is performing when it comes to reaching its climate goals.
Has set some quite ambitious goals for itself. For example, it wants to be climate neutral by 2045. That means it doesn't want to emit more CO2, more carbon into the atmosphere. And we've seen some progress happening in Germany. We've seen that, for example, in the first half of this year, 65% of electricity has come from the renewable sources. We've also seen that data points to the fact that last year it was a record in Germany for new solar plants and new solar systems. So we've seen some progress there. But at the same time, we've heard from a panel of climate experts who advise the government that they say that Germany risks missing its 2030 targets for carbon emissions. And in particular, the transport and the construction sectors are too slow and are not doing enough to reduce their emissions. And this is why the environmental groups are really trying to push through the courts. They want to see more speed and more efficiency in reducing emissions.
All this as another summer of extreme climate event unfolds, not only in Germany, but across Europe.
No, we've seen again some extreme weather events happening in Europe. Just last month here in Germany, the south of the country experienced some devastating floods that caused the deaths of up to 5 people. And the German Weather Service has said that the rains that caused the floods were made 10 times heavier because of climate change. But at the same time, in the south of Europe, for example, on the Italian island of Sicily, they are experiencing one of the worst droughts in decades. Lakes have dried up. Authorities have had to ration the use of water. And these are all consequences of climate change that we see happening not just in Europe, but around the globe. And this is also pushing environmentalists here in Germany to want to see more action coming from the government.
All right, so that's it's from Germany there. But let's do politics now. And former President John Mahama is accusing the governing New Patriotic Party of not telling Ghanaians the truth, as he says the country's economic situation is worse than what the people are being told. Speaking at the launch of the party's national campaign at Tamale in the northern region over the weekend, he said he will not tell lies. He promised constitutional reforms, employment, a national women's bank, and many other initiatives. Maxwell Agbagba has more in this report.
The Jubilee Park at Tamale was painted in the NDC colors with thousands of people clad in the party paraphernalia at the event. The MC said the party does not only have the men but the women as well. They introduced journalist Shamima Muslim, Dr. Zaneto Jiman Rollins, and many others. It was the first time Shamima was on an NDC stage at a major political event after publicly declaring her support for John Mahama. She said she would vote for the NDC in December.
Today our nation is in crisis. Our nation is at the crossroads because of the deep mismanagement and recklessness of the New Patriotic Party under the leadership of Nana Akufo-Addo, Baumia. I was heartbroken as a breastfeeding mother when I took my little girl to the clinic and I was told then that there was shortage of vaccines. This was the same time that our president, the vanguard of democracy, was busily flying luxurious private jets across the length and breadth of this world, spraying us with bath water and telling us to tighten our belts.
The Jubilee Park here at Tamale in the northern region is virtually bursting at its seams with thousands of NDC supporters gathered here for the grand launch of the party's national campaign. The top brass of the party are also gathered here, and they have been addressing the crowd. Colloquial Member of Parliament, Dr. Zaneto Rollins, says it is time for Ghanaians to root out and eliminate corruption.
These people believe that everybody can be bought at a price, and we have to prove them wrong. We have to tell them enough is enough. The money that they received from the World Bank for the re-engineering of the Garrett project, that they squandered, and people are now sharing. That money is not going to make a change to the lives of Ghanaians.
The national chairman of the NDC, Johnson Esiedun Ketia, has also been urging the security agencies to be impartial in the December elections.
Where is the IGP if he is listening? My message to you is simple. The day you were commissioned into leadership of our security services, you swore an oath to protect the interests of Ghanaians. You didn't swear to protect the interests of any regime that is in power for the time being. We know you are working under pressure, but please, you can absorb that pressure and do the right thing for the next 4 months.
So let's take you to the Electoral Commission corporate head office now, because the EC is addressing the citizens on the mop-up voter registration exercise there. So let's take you then live now to hear what the EC is saying.
Today's press conference is mainly about the mop-up voter registration exercise ahead of the 2024 presidential and parliamentary elections. At the end of the 23-day limited voter registration exercise from the 7th to the 29th of May 2024, the Commission registered a total of 778,447 voters. Females constitute 52.45% of the total registered, which is 408,332, and males constitute 47.55%, which is 370,115. Currently, there are 18,681,366 provisional registered voters, and we emphasize that these figures are provisional. As part of measures to ensure an all-inclusive voters register ahead of the 2024 general elections, the Electoral Commission is organizing a mop-up voter registration exercise to give opportunity to eligible persons who could not register and those who have turned 18 years since the limited voter registration exercise to register as voters to enable them vote in December 2024. All those who are registered voters are ineligible for this exercise. If your voter's card is missing, there is a procedure for the replacement of the card. This mop-up registration exercise will be conducted online. So if you are already a registered voter, our system will flag you out. The mop-up voter registration exercise will take place from Thursday, 1st August to Saturday, 3rd August 2024. The exercise will take place at all the 268 district offices of the Commission, 26 public universities, and 41 prison centers across the country. Registration, as usual, starts at 7 a.m. and ends at 6 p.m. each day. The requirements for voter registration, as stated in Regulation 2 of CI 126 as amended, apply to the mop-up voter registration exercise. An eligible applicant must present a Ghana card or the Ghana passport as proof of eligibility at the registration center. In the absence of any of the above stated documents, an applicant will require 2 persons who are already registered voters as guarantors. Registered voters can only guarantee for 10 persons. This means anyone who guaranteed for 10 persons in the last registration exercise does not qualify to guarantee for the other applicants in the mop-up exercise. Guarantors must ensure that those they wish to guarantee for are Ghanaians who are at least 18 years old and meet the other requirements for registration, including being residents or ordinary residents of the electoral area where they wish to register as voters. Political parties are allowed to send their agents to the registration centers to observe the exercise. The Commission expects the parties to educate their agents well to enable them conduct themselves professionally at all the registration centers. The Commission has informed the Ghana Police Service about the mop-up exercise. Consequently, there will be security presence at the various registration centers to ensure peaceful environment. All applicants who want to register as voters and persons who are working as registration officials are expected to conduct themselves well at the registration centers. The Commission is urging all stakeholders, especially the political parties, to ensure a successful mop-up registration exercise. In the same manner, we wish to urge parents and guardians not to allow their children who are not yet 18 years old to take part in the mop-up voter registration exercise. The Commission wishes to emphasize that the mop-up voter registration exercise is for eligible persons who have not yet registered as voters. In conclusion, we wish to inform the general public that after the mop-up voter registration exercise, our next major activity is the exhibition of the voters' register from the 20th to the 27th of August at all the polling stations, which will be designated as exhibition centers. All registered voters are encouraged to go to their polling stations to check that their names are in the voters' register or use the short code to electronically check their names in the voters' register. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, we thank you for your kind attention. Ye can say nia edikan yeda
So that was the address from the Electoral Commission. We have more on that here in our subsequent bulletins. But 3 of the 13 girls who were defiled by the notorious serial pedophile in Wa, Rashid Ahmed Anata, have been forced to drop out of school. It follows relentless hooting, stone pelting, and verbal abuse from their peers who have unfairly blamed them for Anata's 22-year prison sentence. The harassment has taken a severe toll on the minors, who now find themselves struggling to cope with both their trauma and the added pressures of societal blame. Joy News' 2023 Impact Makers winner for the Upper West region, Eliasu Baba, commonly known as Bahas, has stepped up to address this troubling situation. We have more in this report by Upper West regional correspondent Rafiq Salam.
The trio, Amina, Binta, and Geneva, not their real names though, has been out of school since the Wassekud court, presided over by Jonathan Afogo, handed a 22-year prison sentence to disgrace local popular MC Rashid Ahmed Anata. The sexual predator stood trial at the court, accused of defiling 13 school-going minors. For the first time, 3 of the minors have opened up to the public and gave rare access to Joy News on the harrowing experience they went through at the hands of the sexual predator 1 year after the incident.
I was coming from school when he met me on the way. He asked where I was going to. I told him I was going home. He told me that he was my uncle and knew my father very well. He took me on his motorbike with the pretense of giving me something for my granny. He took me to his house, locked the gates, and had sex with me.
The story of Amina and that of Binta and Geneva are carbon copies of the other.
He took Amina and Geneva into his room, whilst asking me to wait. After some time, I peeped through the window, and I saw that he was sleeping with them. I quickly picked my sandals and ran home, and because of that, he couldn't get me.
They are happy that justice was served at their perpetrator 7 times at the prison.
Anytime he sleeps with me, I always wanted to tell my mother, but for fear that she will beat me, I kept quiet. But now that he has been jailed, it has erased my nightmares.
The next few months saw 10 out of the 13 minors dropped out of school due to unsavory remarks and obscene gestures from their colleagues. They have constantly been harassed, scorned, and pelted with stones, accused of being the reason why Anata is sticked at the War Central Prison. As a result of that, they have now dropped out of school.
They have always been insulting me and accusing me of being the reason that Anata has been jailed. When I am coming from school, they pelt stones at me, including pupils from other schools.
Whilst Amina and Binta at the moment are idling, Geneva is reluctantly engaged in selling trophies. The trio are pained by their absence at school and wish to get back, given the opportunity and support from benevolent organizations and individuals. They will, however, prefer to have the schools outside the one municipality.
I want to go to school, but not here in Wa. So if I get school anywhere apart from Wa, I will go.
Championing their cause is 2023 Joy News Impact Makers winner for the Upper West region, Eliasu Baba, who actually reported the case of the minors to the police. He is happy that justice was served. He is however unhappy about the aftermath.
the society have rejected them, schools have rejected them. Even the stigma alone at the school have pushed most of them away from school. Now they are in town roaming. People are calling them names. Even some of them have been chasing by young guys because of what happened. They've taken advantage over them, trying to sleep with them almost every day and every night. They have received a lot of complaints from them.
So what do you want to be done now?
Now what I want to do is I want to appeal to the general public, individual and organizations, they can come to their aid. In the region here, I don't think that these girls can attend school in Wahia because a lot of people know them, and the stigma alone, they can't withstand it. And appealing to the general public and individual who think that they can come to our aid and help them, take them away from the region and to a different region, then they can school there. If it is in Wahia, I don't think that these guys can go to school. Their future, I don't think that they have future in Upper West here.
Upper West Regional Director of the Department of Gender and Children, Charity Baturi, opened up on what her outfit has for the victims of the disgraced popular serial pedophile.
For those that are not in school, we also feel that some of them, per the psychological counseling that we did for them, some of them will need complete rehabilitation. It's not just about going to a different school or putting them in school. You know, these are kids that have been emotionally abused, they have been traumatized, and they need to undo what has been done to them. And this can only be done if we get a proper, or should I say comprehensive, rehabilitation process for them. So we are actually in discussions with other NGOs and other benevolent entities that can help us so that we can relocate them from the region completely and have them go through that full rehabilitation before they can be reunited into the communities.
Though the trio are happy with a 22-year sentence imposed on Rashid Anata, but for them it has come at a great cost. They are not being stigmatized, ostracized by society and colleagues, and as a result, they are out of school. Their future dream of becoming a nurse, pilot, and a fire officer for now is hanging in the balance unless drastic action is taken. Reporting for Joy News, Rafik Salam. Wah.
And in the studio in Accra, I'm Samuel Kojo Brace. This has been paused, but there's more news on myjoyonline.com. It says CTAC strike enters week 7 as leadership awaits government signature on new agreement. Also, 2023 Auditor General report uncovers irregularities of 8.799 billion cedis, a 41.6% decrease over previous year. And EC's IT and statistics outfits are weak. They pose a threat to the elections on Mane Boama there. Well, thanks for being a part of us here on the show on the Pulse on Joy News. My name is Samuel Kojo Brace. On behalf of the team here, I say thanks for being a part of us. We'll meet again, God willing, tomorrow. There's more to come on at this channel, so please do stay.